My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below. And as this is hot off the presser, we're proudly sponsored by HI-POINT ACCESS Limited, your number one-stop shop for all your working at heights and roofing needs. Find their details in all the links below. Thank you to HI-POINT ACCESS for your continued support of the Blades Ramble.
Like and subscribe to Blades Ramble.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is hot off the presser. Well, as hot as it's going to get, because you were due at 9 o'clock. Why do I bother? Why do I bother rushing? I was saying this in Platinum Chat. Why do I bother rushing back from the school run and only to be sat here waiting for him? Unbelievable tardiness from the manager. Absolutely ridiculous. So, absolute legend, undoubtedly, but come on, Chris. We've all got places to be. So then, right, I have got the notes. What do you think to this presser, actually? He seemed to me a little bit dejected. The thing about Chris Wilder that I love, I think is quite easy to read. He's like my dad in terms of, like, if my dad's in a mood, everybody knows about it. There's no hiding it. You can tell because you know what they're like as a character. We now know what Chris Wilder's like. He cut a frustrated figure to me in terms of the lack of activity and a few other bits. But obviously he didn't say that, but that was the vibe I got from this. It doesn't look like there's going to be much movement at Bramall Lane. I also thought there were a bit of a cutting revelation in there that probably was a bit understated, but will it be highlighted really going forward? I don't know, but I'll talk about what I'm on about as we go through. You might already know. So let's get to the questions. It were Rob Staten from Radio Sheffield, and then Danny Hall came on later. I've put it into our AI, and let's see how many times Victor Gyökeres comes up in this conversation. So, transfer deadline's approaching. Chris, we're a few days away from the deadline. What's the latest with regards to Sheffield United? He says, nothing significant has happened over the last 24, 48 hours. If I'm honest, it's been a little bit frustrating. That's as far as he went, but he looked raging, in my opinion. I'd love to have had a couple of players in we've been chasing involved for the weekend, but that's not to be, and we have to accept that. We've got until Monday tea time to do business, and we're working as hard as we ever have. We've identified players, but those players have other options as well. As I always say, the player's coming from, the club that wants him, and the player himself, all three have to be aligned, and at the moment they aren't. But fingers crossed we can get something done. I've always said we'll be stronger when the window shuts than when it opened, and I'm still confident that'll be the case. Well, to be honest, if this is just coming off from his comment, if the window shut today, we would be stronger, in my opinion, than we were anyway. But that's with no further players coming in, and we need more players coming in. I haven't been that vocal, or we haven't done much coverage of the transfer window, because there hasn't been anything to talk about. And we're in a really unique position this time because we're a parachute team that has potentially got the money to go for it, but we're so far behind in terms of the playoff chase, and yes, we can make it, but it's not likely that we will make it. So what do you do? What do you do? And we can come on to that after the presser, really, if you want to get into that conversation now. But I think we're in a really awkward spot as to what to do for the short, medium and long term. If you ask the manager, obviously he would want to go for it this season. That's his mentality, it always has been. And a lot of fans will be on the same train as that. But others will think, actually, why will we spend a lot of money this window, either on expensive loans or chucking good money after bad, if that's the right term, when it may leave us in a pickle in the summer? So anyway, we'll come on to different bits like that. So in terms of, have you missed out on any key targets, says Rob? He says, yeah, there's been a couple that have gone by, which we understand. We're after good players, and good clubs are after those players too, and that's a part of it. It's not a negative from my point of view. we've put our best foot forward on a couple, and it hasn't quite happened. That's football. This period is a moving target. Things change all the time, and you've got to be ready to react. We are, and we have had the backing of the owners and Steve Bettis, or Steve Bass, as it actually says in these notes, whoever he is. What's a realistic figure between now and the deadline in terms of how many you can expect to get in? He says a couple in, maybe. That's all. We're after quality, not quantity. I thought it was very like a dejected response, really, because I think he's wanted more than that. Some of the younger boys have gone out, which you've seen. We're getting players back as well and building minutes into them, which is vital. Tom Davis getting 60, 65 minutes was a massive boost. I agree with that. Mark McGuinness is back. Tyler Bindon is back for Saturday, which is great. Great news. I think Mark McGuinness will unfortunately be the fall guy for that. But he's done himself, I think he's sort of partially rebuilt himself a little bit over the last couple of games as Mark McGuinness. So he's done himself no harm covering for Bindon, but I think Bindon comes back in and partners Ben Mee. Cheo's back as well, which is good news. Really, the only injuries we've got are Gyro and Jamie Shackleton. When you look around the league and see other clubs' injury lists, we're in a pretty favourable position. The biggest challenge with players returning is managing the minutes properly and not breaking them. And I've been very vocal about that. Yes, he has indeed. Any updates on Gyro's fitness then? How is he in terms of his recovery? He says, yeah, he's working away. We're hoping he'll be back for the Sheffield Wednesday game on the 22nd. So he doesn't normally give projections as to when they'll be back. Or if he does, it gets pushed back and pushed back. If he's saying at the moment he's going to miss the next 3 weeks, well, that's not good. That's not good. So he's going to miss Oxford, Middlesbrough and Portsmouth, but that's something we've had to deal with. We didn't cope with it at Southampton. I've spoken about that, but we did at Ipswich, against Ipswich, and we'll need to do the same in the upcoming games. And then there's been links to Reyes Cleary. I can see clearly now, the rain has gone. Morning to my mate. How interested are you, says Rob, in Reyes Cleary from Barnsley? We know about him, obviously, being a local boy. We're interested in young players, and we wouldn't be doing our job if we weren't looking at players like that. Every championship club is doing the same. Medium and long-term planning is really important to me. I'll always go back to the outstanding work in our academy, though. You look at Saturday, 4 academy players on the pitch. There was a photo when Brooks scored with Femi, Siddy and others sprinting over. That's outstanding. It says a lot about the pathway and the coaching from the academy. Absolutely brilliant. And then Rob says, speaking of academy prospects, Andre Brooks has been linked with Club Bruges. Any truth in that? Great questions, by the way, again, from the journalists. I don't think they always get enough. Sometimes they get criticised for not asking the questions that we all want to know. But questions like this, very direct. We want an answer, don't we? And Wilder, 9 times out of 10, he'll at least say something back. He won't be offended that you've asked the question, but he'll either shut it down completely, which he does a little bit here, which I'll tell you. There's interest in a lot of our young players, he says. I'm not going to talk about bids, but interest is there, and that's a good thing. The most important thing is that the team wins. No player's value goes down in a winning team. I said last year, in my opinion, we had over £100 million worth of assets because we were winning games. If those boys play and perform, their value rises. That only benefits the club. But first and foremost, I want to build a good team, win games, and keep moving in the right direction. I don't know whether he covers it here. No, he didn't actually. Oh, it was Danny that asked the question, so I'll come on to that. So remind me if I don't mention something else about Andre Brooks. If a bid came in, says Rob, would the club consider it? Now, my stream cut out here. I don't know if everybody else's did, but Brett's did too in the Platinum chat. So I missed who. It came back to him talking about a player that went to Bournemouth. And I think it was David Brooks, because that's what's been mentioned in Platinum chat, but it could have also been Jebo, obviously. And then he went on to say, if teams meet our valuation and it interests us and the player, then we have to have those conversations. That's football, whether you're Man City or Sheffield United. We don't want to leave ourselves short for the remaining 19 or 20 games, but we also want to work with the right numbers. We were bloated at the start of the season, hence why we've moved on a few and why we might consider one or two more if it suits everyone. Oh, moved a few on, sorry, not moved on a few. Moved a few on. We might consider 1 or 2 more if it suits all parties. Ryan Loney has joined Lincoln. Ryan Loney. Deary me. Ryan One has joined Lincoln on loan. What's your message to Rye? He says, he wants to play. And that's a great attribute. He's down the pecking order here at the moment. There's Pat, Callum, Tyrese. He mentioned Callum Ware playing at the top of the pitch. Tyrese and Tom Cannon in front of him. Didn't mention Danny Ings, I don't think. But this is a great fit for him and for Lincoln. They're flying, they play good football, and there's no guarantees that he'll get a start there. He's got to fight his way into the team. Just like the players here that we've brought in have to fight their way into the side. There was interest from most of League One, but we felt this was the right move for him. We'll be watching him very closely, and I'm sure it'll be a successful loan. He said we've got a great relationship with Lincoln City, and we hope that continues with this loan move. No Bamford on Saturday. Does that mean there's a chance for others to state their claim for a place in the first team? Absolutely. Every opportunity is a chance to impress, says Wilder. I thought Gus was outstanding on Saturday. He took his chance. Some others that have come into the side haven't, and that's the challenge. Pat's been outstanding and we will miss him. That sending off was disappointing. In my opinion, the referee could have handled the situation better early on, but Pat takes responsibility for it. It opens the door for others, and they've got to walk through that door. Millwall are a strong team at home. What makes the Den so tough to go to? He says, well, they're a really honest side. I like him. He then went back. I don't know if he mentions it here. No, I don't think he does. He said, I heard Ipswich's captain come out post-game on Saturday and say, we got dragged into a direct game of football and a rough and tumble game of football. He says, I've never heard such nonsense in all my life. We play football and we play to win. We play effective football. We can mix it up and do what we need to do to win a game of football. He says, I thought that was very disrespectful to our side, to be honest. And he said, in terms of Millwall, I like him. I like the manager. He's a good operator and has had a very successful career. There's this perception that games are just rough and tumble. Absolute nonsense, meaning Millwall's games. They play, they mix it up, they're effective, and they're where they are in the table for a reason. Easy for me to say. It's a proper football ground, a full house, a great test, especially for our younger players. They'll get asked the question at the moment they step off the bus. If you want to be a top player, you have to come through those environments. You were talking about how much of a challenge it's going to be for our young side. He's absolutely right. And I think it's a great way to frame it for the youngsters going into this cauldron of the Den. Onto the academy culture then. Does having academy players give the team a cultural edge? I think this was Danny as well. Yeah, it does, but they have to be good enough. There's no handouts. They're culture carriers. They understand what it means to play for this club, but we're talking about like local lads and Sheffield United boys. The culture carriers, they understand what it means to play for the club, but they're competing with experienced pros all over the pitch, and they know they've got to perform. That's healthy. That's how you build a proper football club. Proper football. He talked about having that with Billy Sharp and others that he's had at the club who weren't necessarily Sheffield United fans. Think about players like Bash as well, and George Baldock, who were culture carriers, knew what it meant. They took the club to their hearts, even if they weren't born a Blade, and carried that culture throughout. He says it's his challenge now to get this new crop of players feeling like that. Before I come to the final bit, I'll just go back to a previous bit that hasn't been caught in this summary, but Danny Hall questioned Chris about Femi Siriki and Andre Brooks being in their dreaded danger zone of 18 months left on their contracts as well, similar to Gus and Tyrese Campbell. Are you already talking to them about a new deal? He says, well, I don't know if you've been bugging the line, but I was talking to Steve Bettis about that this morning in terms of we need to get these players tied down, but he sort of alluded to we wouldn't be having those conversations if they weren't good enough. And that ties back into some of the stuff that's been summarised already, but we're not offering them a contract to just tie them down so we can then sell them on. We're offering them a contract because we see a future for them here at the football club and that we feel that they can be assets for us. So talks ongoing with Andre Brooks and Femi Siriki's representatives, as well as Gus Hamer and Tyrese Campbell's, I believe, although they weren't touched upon. Final thoughts then. Wilder says, we're not panicking. We won't bring players in just for the sake of it. We've strengthened already. He then went on to say, if you look at Gyro and Pat, they would have been January signings usually. So you can say we've already brought 3 in. Don't like that. Don't like that. We brought 1 in January. We brought 1 in. You improved the squad earlier, but don't try and fudge it so that it's, oh, well, we've got 3 at the end of January. 3 new players. We haven't. Even though they have done a remarkable job to get Pat and Gyro not only in, but tied down as well. We've strengthened already. We've fast-tracked players we wanted, and we believe we'll be stronger when the window shuts. We all know that after the final whistle on Saturday, it'll be mad as always, but no panic from me. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let me know your thoughts on this. And while you do, before I jump into the comments, I'm going to let you all know what we've got coming up. Tonight, from 7:30, we have a watch-along on Ramble FC. It is Batman Lou and the soon-to-be dearly departed Jamie Dumpling. He's healthy, thank the Lord. He's going to Oz for like 3 months. And I'm sure he'll still be able to jump on some of these watch-alongs as well, even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning for him or something. So yeah, they are doing Bristol City against Derby for tonight's championship game. If you want to join them over there, that is going to be on Ramble FC and also on Behind the Ramble, which we are obviously trying to raise awareness for and get build them both as independent channels. If you watch it on Behind the Ramble and subscribe, it'll be ad free, so you won't get interrupted in the stream at all, and you can listen to Jamie's dulcet tones for around 2 hours tonight. So if anybody's struggling to sleep, joke, I will be there to watch, lads. So best of luck tonight. And speaking of watch-alongs, I will be here. I will be here tomorrow to watch the big game, Alfie Doughty versus Gusema, the Battle of the Dwarfs. So 2:30, dentist time. Come and join me Saturday, tomorrow, for a live watch-along of Millwall versus Sheffield United. Oh, looking forward to this. Am I though? I'm not sure. Right, Jack's going to start us off. He says, I've got a good feeling about Saturday. I think we can get something out of it. Love that, Jack. That is positive, Jack. I don't know why they don't let you have your own names across the front anymore, but that is positive, Jack, who's often far from positive, but he actually thinks we can get something out of it. Love that, Jack. Hope you're good, mate. Dave Morwood, good morning, Jimmy. Morning, my mate. Hope you're good. I much prefer the afternoon presses. Up all the rambles, up the blades. Like and subscribe, please. Come and join us in the Plats. Absolutely right. Well, the reason that Lou and Jamie are doing this is because the Platinum Ramblers. It's part of the offering that we put out there, that you can get involved directly in the channels and creating ideas for shows and becoming involved in things like we had football therapy last night with myself, Lee, Man Mountain, and Jord Motson. Really enjoyed that, by the way. But yes, thank you, Dave Morwood, and thank you for the plug to everybody. I need to advertise that better, not necessarily more, because I don't want to upset people with too much push. But I think not everybody knows about what benefits you can get from it. So, Danny says, I think it's going to be a close game that could go either way with a last-minute winner 2-1. Oh, I'm not sure my blood pressure would cope with that, Daniel, but if we're still in the mix for a 2-1, I'll take it. Dave Vinter says, time for Campbell or Cannon to step up. It is. If we perform the same as Ipswich, we could pinch a win. 2-0 Blades. David Vinter, up the Blades, up all the Rambles. Are you going, David? I know you're an avid away day Blade. You're part of that brilliant away crowd that goes often, aren't you? So let me know if you're going to the game. Batman Lou says, morning, Jim. That felt to me like he's preparing himself for the possibility of no further additions. We are on the same wavelength, me and you, pal. I'm okay with it as long as we don't waste money on loans with no potential for a permanent transfer. The playoffs are remote and we need to be looking longer term for me and not waste money. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. And David Minter says, I think we still need 2 more in, but it's looking unlikely now. Let's hope they back Chris and give him what he wants. Up the Blades. I agree with you in terms of what we need. Certainly need a winger. If we get Reyes Cleary, I think I'd be happy with that as a window, to be honest. I'd be happy. I think there'll be competition for him. I don't think it's a done deal by any means. Bristol City were very keen, but I think they made a signing, didn't they? They signed the Burnley lad that Jamie Dumpling's updated on, done as a little video on Ramble FC. So that negates their need for a winger, I think, for Reyes Cleary. So maybe we're back in the driving seat, but we'll have to wait and see. There's still a lot of work to be done. We will be on Monday doing a live breakdown of the transfer window, so don't worry about that. We'll have you covered. Ray says, morning, Jimmy and all. Didn't see the presser, but hopefully some news on incomings. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. This presser must be a long one. Come on, Jimmy, give us some news. I wish I could, pal. We need Bindon and Gyro back for the weekend. Gyro's out, isn't he? He's out for 3 weeks, mate. He's out till the 22nd at least. That gives a big chance if the points at the Den. Nah, then Jimmy Ladd says Big T. Ollie R. Blaster's favourite Rambler. Ramble on the road, phone all charged and all set to go. Let's have it. 2-0 Blades. Come on, the Blades. Yes, Big T. Yes, Big T. Love that. I'll go same. 2-0 Blades, says Ray. Come on, you red and white wizards. Better late than never, says Matt. Unbelievable. Unbelievable from you. Blame Chrissy Wilder. If one's late, it knocks me on, doesn't it, obviously? It's one of them. He's here, our leader. Lukewarm off the presser. No need for this. No need for this abuse in the comments. We're a respectful community. We've worked hard to foster. I'm not having this abuse. I do always say, to be fair, I'm going to back myself here. We will come on when the presser finishes. Give me, obviously, a 5-minute window to put it into ChatGPT and say, repeat all this. Put this in a summary. Oh, dearie me. Morning, Jimmy, says Bran. Good morning, my mate. Love a cold off the presser in the morning. Unbelievable. Just wondering if you've heard from David Webster. No, I haven't, actually. Seems to have conveniently gone MIA since we thumped Ipswich. Not heard from him. Not heard from him. I think you were in some of the comments, and Jamie Dumpling was firing some shots back at him about saying well done to the team, not the manager. But I know David Webster winds some people up because he's very anti Chris Wilder and wears that as a badge of honour, really. He is entitled to that opinion. It's just I think sometimes the way he's derogatory towards others in terms of us that support Chris Wilder, you are the cult, you are this, that and other. I think it rubs people up the wrong way, which is why he gets some spiky responses, even in what is a really positive community overall. No point winding people up, is there? Because you will get a bite back. Matt says, other Blades, Ramble and Jimmy. Thank you, mate. Taxi Tuesday. I need to get back in. Look, there is a plan afoot for me to streamline some of the work I'm doing, and there'll be more to come on that, and that will mean more time in the taxi, hopefully. But first and foremost, Blades Ramble is my first love. We're also trying to build 2 other channels in Ramble FC and Behind the Ramble. I've got another channel with Proper Football with Cal and Connor. So we're busy. We're doing a bit of work with the club on Monday. There's all sorts of stuff going on, which I'm really excited about. Everything is going, touch wood, unbelievable. But we'll see. We'll see how we get on. But yeah, watch this space, Matt. I know you're a fan. Thank you for supporting us. Paul says, I said a couple of weeks ago that these owners would not bring in any transfers because I don't think they have the money to do any business. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Now, the only point I differ on here, Paul, is I don't think they don't have the money. I think they don't want to spend the money, if that makes sense. I don't think we're ever in any danger of, them not being able to bail us out if there was big trouble afoot. But whether they actively want to speculatively invest, I'm not sure they will. And that's just a blind opinion, not spoken to them, not spoken to anybody associated with them. That's just my opinion on how things are at the moment. Jack says, we technically are stronger, even if we just signed Bamford and the other guy. I forgot his name. Gyro, Kiana Hoover, or Hover. As much as I hate a slow window, I'd rather save the money for next season. Or if we do sign, they have to be perms for next year, like Cannon. Okay, Brand says, just on this window, we've now got a hell of a lot of work to do in the short time left we have in the window. I said it a couple of weeks ago, this squad needs 4 or 5 players, at least. Jack says, the fact that Gyro isn't back for the next couple of fixtures is bad, but I also wouldn't chuck money to fill it. Look, if the one thing I will say is, and we can never rely on this, unfortunately, but if Tom Davies is fit, I think Gyro is our starter. I think it's Gyro +1 at the moment. But if Tom Davies is fit, I think that's a reasonable, a good backup plan to Gyro. It saves us chucking Ollie Arblaster in and asking him to do a different type of job than he's not that he's able to, but that he's comfortable doing. I think Siddy and Ollie are quite similar in a lot of ways, whereas Gyro tidies up. Tom Davies isn't afraid of putting his foot in either. I think it'll be Tom Davies if fit, plus probably Siddy. Ollie will get a bit more of a rest, I think, personally. Jack says, we only need a couple, Bran. We already brought in 3, 2 frees and Hover. Oh, so you're on that bandwagon, are you, Jack? Fair enough. Got to think morning. It says morning, Jimmy. It feels to me like we're preparing for season 26-27. Your thoughts up all the rambles? I think the club is, the manager isn't. I think that's what is happening here. And that's just, again, an outside observation. I think he's frustrated because he still sees something in this season, but he reluctantly understands why the club have to be a bit more cautious. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. The London Cheesehead says, I hope United beat that team, from a Palace fan. Thank you, my mate, and thank you for joining us. Bald and brilliant, that's Ali. Says, got to say I wasn't too happy with what I saw of the presser. Wilder looked dejected, like he'd been let down by the board again. Remember the summer? In the pursuit of his targets and the lack of success. Remember the summer? Let down by the board again, remember? Oh, well, yeah, obviously, being sacked. CW has done excellent since he came in and has rescued our season from the disaster the analyst left us in. He deserves the backing he needs. One centre midfielder and one right or left winger are definite needs, and I wouldn't mind a goalkeeper as well, but not a priority. The board got us into this mess with the horrific signings of the summer. Wilder needs to be given the ability to get it right. The position we are in lies directly at the feet of the board. Look, and that reminds, thank you, Lee. I completely agree with that, to be honest. Very strong from Bald and Brilliant Lee, but he is bald and brilliant. The presser, it didn't highlight in the summary that I gave, but he also said, we have to be cautious. We don't want to get caught. This is the bit that I thought was a little bit shocking, really. We don't want to get caught we don't want a repeat of what happened on the last transfer deadline day. Meaning, last minute panic signings. This is the way I interpreted it anyway. Last minute panic signings. So all those players that came in on deadline day, was he talking to you directly? Was he talking to Mark McGuinness and Chong and whoever else it was that came in on deadline day? I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. But he basically said they were all panic buys. In my interpretation, I thought it was a real strong... And it just sort of came out nonchalantly, really, but I thought that was a... Ooh. Because that's what us fans say as well, by the way. It's not... I'm not surprised that he thinks that. I'm surprised he said it. Jack says, I'm glad we need Femi and Brooks as assets. Come on the Blades, let's get them signed. Cooler King says, morning, Jim. I saw a prediction of a 2-0 Villa win on Cal Fowler's channel. It's our channel, by the way. Proper football, do you mean? It's a 3-man channel, that. Thank you very much, Cooler King, but you're right. So I'll return the... Oh, it might have been on Connor's channel, that, in terms of added time. I don't know. There's so much stuff we're doing at my name. So I'll return the favour. 2-0 Blades. Top man, but I'm not confident about the nil. Oh. Been a while since we've had a clean sheet. Yes, it has. It has. Statman Jack says, sounds like the result of tomorrow affects what we do business-wise from the way Chris said it. Possibly, yeah. Possibly. Although I'd still push for Cleary if we can, as it sets us up going forward no matter which league we're in. If we play like we did against Ipswich, I think we can outplay Millwall and grab the 3 points. Jack, 3-0 Blades, and I'll be there to see it. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Love you, mate, but 3-0 is it's a big shout, that. Wow. I'm going to sneeze, I think. Excuse me. Apologies. Dave Morwood says, Jimmy, we'll meet you at the... My wife says I sneeze quite dramatically. I don't believe her. Jimmy, we'll meet you at the airport for coffee tomorrow as we travel to Canada for the game. Great. Looking forward to seeing you there, Dave. Yeah, all good. All good. Alessandro says, we'll be disappointed if Wilder isn't given 1 or 2 at least to come in before the window shuts for this half of the season. Screaming out for an extra centre-back, centre midfielder and winger. Are we screaming out for an extra centre-back? Are we? Because we've got 4. All right, you don't have to rate them ridiculously highly, but I would say Tanganga is one of the best in the league. Some would say the best. Bindon is a very accomplished centre. I would say he's a good centre half in this league. Good. Ben Mee is on the way down, but also a very good option. And I would say McGuinness, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, some people would say different, but I think he's an average Championship defender, probably bottom half. But he's our 4th choice. So I don't think we're necessarily in a rush to get a centre-half. The reason we felt like we were is because Jaff and Bindon were out at the same time. And Ben Mee was still struggling. And then you've only got a 100% fit Mark McGuinness and a sort of patched up Ben Mee. And that's not good. But after this game on Saturday, we've got Tanganga back and we've already got Bindon back for the game. So I think we're all right for a centre-half. Centre midfielder, similar. I just don't trust that Tom Davies is going to stay fit. Having said that, if Samari returns, then technically with Davies, we've got 5. So I think we desperately need a winger, a wing option, as an alternative to a Gus Hamer and Andre Brooks. Both of them like to cut. I know Brooks can go either way, but both of them like to cut inside. Somebody like Cleary on the left, even if it's 20, 25 minutes from the bench at this point in time, he goes round the outside. Round the outside, round the outside. That's what he does. We don't have an option like somebody. Can you imagine a winger, an actual winger for Patrick Bamford in the box? You know, this football thing. It's a complicated game. Chariot says, not surprised there's no major activity. January is an expensive window and we're too far short to invest in a playoff push. Best to do a summer build, but will Wilder's toys be out of the pram by then? I don't think so. It seems like they're keeping him fairly sweet. I don't think there's any. I don't get the vibe that there's any big fallout or anything. He'll be frustrated, and he certainly looked frustrated today. But I think he understands as well. He's not daft, is he? As much as he knows what he wants, and he'll push, he knows how things work. So I understand it, Chariots. I agree. I think that's what the board are thinking, really. Paolo says, morning, cappuccinos all round. We're on a roll, Jimmy, mate. Up the Ramble, up the Blades. We're on a roll. Winning one. Yeah, I'll take it. We're starting to roll, hopefully. GN Short says, I think that we can get a win from this game. They only beat us 1-0 in our worst run of form at the start of the season. Up the Blades and up all the Rambles. 2-1 Blades. Thank you, my mate. Yeah, I hope you're right. If Tom Davies is fit, that's it. We've jinxed it now. Yeah, sorry, mate, I have. Hi there, good to see you, pal. Not seen you for a little while. I'm not worried about the transfers in, but I would like to see us try and get some existing players to sign extensions. That would be more important. Can you imagine if we get Gus, Brooks and Sariki tied down? That, for me, is... I'd take that with no other signings. I'd certainly take that. I'd take 2 of the 3, to be honest. Claire says, back in Blighty, Jim. Nice. First ever away game for me tomorrow. Cannot wait. Bulgarian Blade on the road. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. If any of you Blades, any of you actually, whether you're Ramblers, Platinum Ramblers, or just subscribe to the channel and enjoy what we do, Big T will be there for Ramble on the Road. Make sure you go up and collar him and get yourself involved in Ramble on the Road. I can't guarantee that you will make the cut because it's a 3-minuter, but go and say hello to Tony and he'll include you as best he can on whatever footage he's shooting. Jack says Wilder will be frustrated. We know Incomings is a manager and he's a leader. He does deserve the backing, but not in Jan. But like I said multiple times, we have to do what's best for the club. He also can't write off the season, as what message does that send to the players? Yeah, Wilder's doing everything you'd expect him to do. Pushing. I want more. That's what we want as fans. But as a business, the club has to be run differently to what the fans want, clearly. And we know this, don't we? There's 2 strands of thought, and I suppose that's a little bit of the risk element you run with a fan in charge of the club. But as I say, he's not daft. He knows exactly what he's doing. Scott says, that sneeze sounded like Hito jumping out of a wardrobe to attack. I don't know what that means. But it sounded bad, I assume. Paul says, 3-0 again. Ole. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles. Like and subscribe from a Blade in Spain. Cleary update, Levi. Says Cal Fowler. I think he's making the short trip down the M1. I might see him there, actually, very shortly. So, yeah, how much do you want, Fowler? How much do you want for your boy? Cooler King says, sorry, Jim, didn't mean to deal you out of credit for a joint video. You're right. I think Connor was hosting. If Connor were hosting, yeah, well, you were on Connor's channel, then don't worry about that. Right, before Fowler can answer, I'm going to end the stream. So, thank you to everybody for joining us. Let me know your score predictions in the comments if you're catching us a little bit later on. I will be here again with a watch along. I'm just nipping overseas and then purchasing it through SUTV to watch Millwall versus Sheffield United. We've also got a watch along tonight on Ramble FC with Batman Lou and Jamie Dumpling. Go and show the boys some support over there, and ad free if you watch it on Behind the Ramble. So for now, come on, you red and white wizards! Hang on. It says 4 million, 20% tell on, and a pair of jeans. I'll give you 3.5 and a pair of and a t-shirt. All right, he's taking the mick because I wore a load of Levi stuff yesterday without really realising. So they called me Levi for stream because they're that funny. These kids. Right, catch you in a bit. Up the Blades. Come on, you red and white wizards. How do I end this thing? Up the Blades.